on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
A suicide, not a terrorist attack. Good morning, Amy Jacobson here. John Anthony in for Dan Proft.
Hey.
Hope you're doing well today, and Happy New Year. For all those going back to school and work today, a little challenging with the ice. We have ice that's sticking to the branches right here. What did you say?
Slacker.
It's lacquer. What does that mean? But the Tesla cyber explosion, a suicide, not a terrorist attack. That's what one former Chicago police officer and investigative journalist and a private detective since 1991 wrote an article about in crimeFilesNews.tv. And the author of the article is our good friend Paul Huebl. Paul, good morning and welcome back to the program.
Good morning, beautiful Amy. How are you?
I'm doing great with an introduction like that. Thank you very much.
Hey, what about me? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, John, you're not too bad looking yourself.
Not my type. But.
Yeah. So you wrote in your article that the media rushed to sensationalize this story involving our military and our veterans can lead to harmful narratives. Why do you think that this was a suicide and not a terrorist attack?
Well, it's pretty obvious. I mean, you've got a young man, Weivelsberger, who's a sergeant, not just in the Army on active duty, but he was at the zenith of the Army, being a Green Beret, Special Forces man, who had served in combat, came back with a Bronze Star and a bunch of other awards because he was a brave soul trying to protect his own nation. Now, bad things happened. He suffered from post-traumatic stress syndrome. And the other thing is a lot of people, like I'm a veteran, I served in the Army, but I was in Germany during the Vietnam War. But I can remember very vividly of so many young men that were married, so many young men that had girlfriends that they thought they were going to marry, and their marriages and engagements fell apart. Because they're deployed out of the country. And, so this guy had a wife and a young daughter, and his marriage went to hell. He's suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome, and based on what they discovered on his cell phone, what he wanted to do is call attention to the plight of veterans like himself. In fact, he wasn't quite yet considered a veteran because he was still active duty, but terrible things were happening in his life. And so what he did was he went to a location where it would get attention, in a vehicle that would get attention. And unfortunately, the young man killed himself. And I look at this as a heartbreak. I don't look at this as anything, and the media was in such a rush to connect this kid with what went on with the Islamic extremists in New Orleans, and I felt that was horrible. And what a stupid rush to judgment. Wait 5 minutes and get the facts, and that didn't happen.
Well, and then they're coming out too saying that, he was a huge Trump supporter. He voted for Trump. Is this helpful during this time?
Well, he did vote for Trump, and he did support it, and he called the administration that we were living under feckless and ineffective, and I think anybody with common sense knows the last 4 years our government has been running like a ghost ship on the ocean with no direction, like the Lost Dutchman. And when you're in a combat situation where you're fighting for your life, fighting for the lives of your comrades, and you have politicians making ridiculous decisions every day, it's frustrating. And I can see him being frustrated by that. And it's obvious why he's a Trump supporter.
Well, and it's so strange. How did you, just if you can walk me through this, He died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, but yet he was able to detonate the explosives in his car. Did he do both at the
Well,
same time, or what? How did that transpire?
that is going to really be difficult to reconstruct, even for the experts. And I'm certainly not a bomb tech expert. I know a lot about explosives, but I don't qualify to really opine on that. But it could very well be that the shot that he fired through his head, which was with a large caliber handgun, that may have set something off in the car, or maybe he set some kind of a fuse. And I don't know how simultaneous the gunshot and the explosion were, but I imagine they were certainly within close time. But he could have had a time delay fuse, like a fireworks fuse that you light, and then it might take 30 seconds or a minute to blow up. So it was, and the fireworks in the back of his car and the gasoline, I really, it's hard to say what he could do, but being a special forces soldier, he would have had to know his way around improvised explosives.
Right.
Yeah, you see a lot of people making this guy out to be a hero. He's no hero in my book. He still hurt, and there were people hurt.
Injured, nobody died, but I mean, it could have been
He's no hero in my
catastrophic.
opinion, though. I mean, you if you want to be able to get your message out, there are multiple ways to do it. I don't think I'm really excited about everybody making this guy out to be a hero. What are your thoughts?
This guy is a hero because of what he did for his country in the military. However, when the act of killing himself is not really heroism, but it was obvious his effort to make sure that people understood his plight and the plight of so many other soldiers, particularly when politicians are making bad decisions. And
run for office, then. Run for office. You want to see something change? Run for office.
Or commit suicide where you don't put other people in peril. I mean,
well, that's just it. I mean, and we don't really. I don't understand. I know other people were injured when this car blew up, and I don't know that he was aware that there were other people there. I mean, there's so many things that we don't know. But the fact of the matter is, suicide is not a way out for anyone. It's not. It's certainly not a heroic way out. But this kid was apparently so troubled that there was, he's 37 years old. There's really, he had no other solution. And it's easy to say run for politics, and I've had so many friends run for office, and some people get lucky and some people don't, and most people don't get elected. For every person that gets elected, there's probably 100 more that failed along the way of their campaigns, but he did leave a message behind of what was going on in his life. And this guy, he doesn't have to be venerated as a hero for suicide, but he should be remembered for trying to call attention to the plight of him and so many other veterans. And I was just I get my medical treatment from the West Los Angeles Veterans Administration, and they take good care of me, and they try, and they're always sending me messages. If you got troubled, call 811, and that kind of thing. But there's still every day, I think it's like 25 veterans wind up committing suicide. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that when they were called for service, they got themselves in so much violence and so much horrors of war, it's hard to deal with. I mean, I got lucky. I went to Germany. The only combat I saw was pillow fighting. I fought bravely. Those girls were tough.
Oh, stop.
But I never won a pillow fight. But I was lucky.
Yeah.
And these other lads are not so lucky. And you look at 68,000 names on the Vietnam Wall. for every one of those people that are on the wall, there are 3 more that came back disfigured, came back with missing limbs, came back with their minds gone. Some of them came back blind, and we don't really think so much about these people, and they're dying off right now because Vietnam was, by young people, it's ancient history.
Yeah.
But it isn't ancient history if you live through it.
Nope, it sure is not. To read more, go to crimefilesnews.tv. Paul Huebl, we're going to have to leave it there for today. Licensed private detective and former Chicago policeman. And Paul, as always, thank you so much for joining us. We'll have you back.
Take care.
Well, I love you, Amy, and you guys have better weather, I hope.
Yeah. We can only hope.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Paul. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Are you heading into the new year with that same old joint pain? Get moving again in 2025 with